and maybe in the future we will try to transform PAM. So under the leadership of the new president, Adianta Aziz, he has bring a new vibrant energy, a strategic energy, as he mentioned during the dinner. Now PAM has, all the committees have put into 5 trusts, which is the trust of administration to manage PAM administration, the trust of something that we always forget to take care of ourselves, commercial and well-beings is something Adrianta and the team introduced this year. Practice as usual, knowledge, and also design excellence, which we architects have to focus on. So this program is under the trust of commercial and well-beings, and every office bearers is given the task to manage each of the tasks, and my task is the chairman of the commercial and well-beings to look into after the architects, business, all those things, including SOBF. Yeah. So amidst the success, we cannot forget that PAM direction is actually looking into, of course, promoting architecture to the public. Yeah, and also we are the guardian of the built environment, and also not to forget to ensure that our profession move forward and is not under threat in architecture practice and business. I think a lot of members came to me, and Adrianta mentioned that they have no platform to actually have dialogue and talk about the issues and the pitfalls. So this is the platform.
My paper is inside here. I need you to print it out. Yeah.
We must emphasize moving forward by finding new solutions for our practice. By reflecting on our issues, we can proactively, collaborative, discover new ways to expand. As Winston Churchill said, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. Let this be our guiding principle as we face the challenges ahead. I wish to thank convener and past president Zohemli. This is reminiscence. Me and Adrianta joined council 10 years ago under the presidency of Zohemli, and we learned a lot from him. And this is deja vu for us. And 10 years ago. And thank you so much for committee practice of promotion under the leadership this year, A.R. Esmond Yap, combined with, now we have PAM, a new committee called Research, Innovation and Technology. So I invite you guys to join PAM committee. We just had our meeting last week. Our activity is very simple, membawang for 3 hours about the problems. And then after that, we will find a solution. So I hope everyone will take away valuable insight today from the speakers, and thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you, Vice President Architect Reza Raza. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure to welcome our President, Architect Adrianta Aziz.
Yeah, okay.
Round of applause, please.
Pardon my injury. It's a sport injury.
Wow, true lah, Rida. Like deja vu when our past president Architect Zohemli on the stage. Such a wonderful. Right. Architects thrive through resilience, innovation, and turning challenges and into opportunities. My dear PAM members, ladies and gentlemen, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Selamat pagi, good morning, Chow San Kalai Banakum, and welcome to the Pitfall Practice Seminar. It is a pleasure to see so many dedicated professionals gathered here today. Such a wonderful Saturday morning, committed to advancing our profession and learning from one another. As we all know, the architecture profession and the construction industry have evolved dramatically over the years, becoming more complex and challenging than ever after. Today, architects not only tasked with creating innovative and functional designs,
but also with navigating myriad of obstacles that can hinder their practice. I think everyone understand what I mean. We've been talking each other, express our frustration, so called. From the rising cost of doing business, ladies and gentlemen, competition from, as you know, foreign architects, illegal practice, increasing requirements from local authorities. It's in fact almost every day we're talking about this. To demanding clients, unfair fee competition, and unscrupulous contractors. These issues are like landmines waiting to disrupt our path. Navigating this pitfall requires more than just technical skill and creativity. More beyond that, it demands vigilance, resilience, and the ability to learn from both our successes and failures. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, in architecture, failure is like norm for us. Failures indeed can be our greatest teachers. This is the one my mentor, architect Datuk Hajida mentioned. They impart lessons that shape our approach to future challenges. If you remember, Datuk, when you was in the council as a past president, kalau sesat tu balik kempakal jalan. We always echo that every time. But it is far more beneficial to learn from the mistake of others. It's okay when we face failures, mistake. Nobody's perfect here, ladies and gentlemen. Sparing ourselves the pain of first-hand experience. This seminar has been organized precisely with this in mind, which we already speak since last year with our past president, Architect Zul and Dewan. And we are so honored to have Professor Ian to be our moderator today. We are privileged to have 4 prominent architects with us today. Can you please give a round of applause one more time for our speakers who have graciously agreed to share their experiences, their pain, and their trials. Their insight will help us understand the intricacies of our profession better and prepare us to avoid the same pitfalls they have encountered. It's not easy to call everyone come to the stage and share this experience. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we proceed, I encourage you to reflect on the question we will explore today. For example, what specific pitfalls have these experienced architects encountered, and how did they navigate through that? How have increasing requirements from local authorities impacted our projects? What strategies have been effective in maintaining a competitive edge against foreign architects, for example? How can we manage demanding clients and their expectations effectively? What measures can be taken to address unfair fee competition and deal with unscrupulous contractors? What common mistake do young architects make, and how can they be avoided? These questions, among many others, will guide our discussion and hopefully provide valuable insights and practical advice. As we embark on this learning journey, ladies and gentlemen, let us embrace the opportunity to absorb the wisdom of our distinguished speakers today, ask thoughtful questions, and engage in meaningful dialogue. This is our platform. Together, we can navigate the pitfalls of practice, ensuring that we not only survive, but thrive in this demanding profession. Reflecting, learning, growing, evolving through challenges. Well, my dear members, set your positive mindset, healed with the positive energy. Let's enjoy this platform, enjoy this seminar. Looking forward to a fruitful and enlightening seminar. Thank you for being here. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, President Adrianta, for setting the tone for today's program. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me invite our first speaker, who does need no further introduction. Our keynote speaker today is none other than Datuk Architect Dr. Haji Hajidah bin Abdul Majid, past President of PAM and also PAM Gold Medalist. Datuk, are you ready? Okay, could you all please welcome Datuk Hajidah to the stage? You can either sit down or you want to stand. You have to sit also can. Or you can stand and almost drop.
Datuk nak duduk eh?
Duduk boleh.
Duduk pun boleh.
Then I'll be too old. I don't want to admit my age. Anyway, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And before we proceed, I would like to just take this opportunity to thank PAM for organizing this, which I think is quite appropriate and quite timely, because in reflection, in the last 50 years, as I will share with you, that I've had the experience of being a professional architect for the last 50 years out of our 100 years of existence as an institute. Yeah? So this is like a recurring program, not a nightmare, but a program that has to be addressed from time to time. Yeah? I'm sorry. And I thought it would be a good idea to share some of these thoughts, and I think the organizers have lined up 4 people, me being the oldest, and in theory should be the most experienced in respect of practice. And we have David, who's not much younger than me, and then we've got Aziz, who's not much younger than David, and then Gina, the baby of the practice. And I think together we should be able to share some of the experiences, both sweet and bitter, that we have gone through. And as I mentioned to Fahmi earlier, that we tend to suffer quietly and privately with regard to practice, the pitfalls of practice and things like that, because as mentioned by Adrianta also, the fact that we learn more from failures. We accept success, we accept recognition, but we will learn from failures, and those are what I have put together today to share. And this was put together with caution from friends as far as Sabah. Siapa nama? Syariman. Syariman kata, Datuk, be careful, they can sue you for some of your disclosures. So I will not disclose anything personal or project, but I will disclose some situations, and I have written them so you can see that there's no grounds for suits beyond this. When I was first invited by Zul to speak, I said I wanted a parliamentary privilege, meaning that I can speak in this room as a parliamentarian, and that unless I repeat it outside PAM, then you can sue me. So I failed to get that. authority or privilege. So we are all here together to just share. I would like to take this opportunity to just share, and please feel free at the end of the session to question, and I can elaborate some of the instances again without naming names and projects. But everybody knows, as I said to Zul, if I mention the project, then everybody will know. He's referring to this particular architect. That is our dilemma in our profession. You know? So the others who feel they want to know greater detail about the experiences I've had, I can provide private tutorials. Okay. So much for introduction. So that's me. I think some of you will regret coming because I cannot stop talking, and today I've decided not to bring my wife, who was always tasked to show that sign to me, which I just ignore. So she says, "Tak payahlah, saya datang lagi." You know? Anyway, so friends, I won't say ladies and gentlemen, friends, fellow architects, let me just share this journey and with this. So there are 5 topics in the contents of my paper. It's not going to be very architectural in terms of designs and things like that. That I do in another forums and lectures at universities and all that. I will show my architecture. But here, I want to talk about practice. Practice is how to arrive at the product that we think we are qualified to produce. So there are 5 items there. And the graphic, which is a graphic I used earlier on the 100 years of a pen. I wanted to say from the forest, from the natural jungle to the concrete jungle. As you can see from the left to the right, natural jungle to concrete jungle, which the country has gone through. And I'm in the midst of going back to what I started in my childhood, which was drawing. I enjoyed drawing, and I'm coming back to do paintings, and I've done in the last couple of months since Azim's program at UPM. It sort of rekindled my interest in art, and I can prove it to you that if you have it in you, you will take it to your old age, like me. And the skill and the ability to draw is still there. And in the last 4 weeks, I think I've done about 12 paintings simultaneously in my dining hall and my living room. So the whole house is a studio now. So anyway, that's work in progress. That's work in progress. Again, interpreting the same concept, the jungle, the natural jungle to the concrete jungle. And here, you will see in the details, there'll be the kampung, the animals, that the birds hasn't flown yet, but somewhere there. And okay, so let's go through this. I had, as I mentioned just now, the privilege of being a professional architect in the country since 1973, and have benefited from observing the evolution of the profession over the years from the perspective of being an architect in public and private sector. For 5.5 years, I was in UDA, the Urban Development Authority, and I think UDA was among the major implementers of architectural works in this country. And I have even participated in helping to set up practices of putting my boss so that I can be boss. the late Mio Shariman into MAA, and of course Uda convinced Zahani from BDKL to join BEP to undertake the first major project for KL, which is the Daya Bumi project, which was supposed to be 60 stories, but it only ended up with about 36 stories, I believe, because of ignorance of technology. You know, it was shot down, the height was shot down because telecoms felt that the airways will not go through Daya Bumi from Bukit Nanas to Selangor and elsewhere. How ignorant we were, and the decision was made, turunkan, shorten the building. So that's the real history of some of our bigger projects. Yeah. So anyway, there's always a story behind every project in this country. I can guarantee you that. You know. So I've been active with PAM, as you probably know, and LAM, and even served for about 12 to 14 years as chairman of LAM PAM Part 3 exam, where my pass rates for candidates was about 65% until the other chairman took over. Passing rate was down to 15%. So something was wrong, in my opinion. I'll share it with you guys. And I still feel that the exam should be conducted first and the oral after. Not as we do today, you do the oral and then you fail the exam. So the idea is to help the candidates to understand, because the mistake the candidate does in the written exam can be corrected during the oral. And then the candidate will have the benefit of learning twice what to do and what not to do. And this opportunity was lost. I tried to revert that thing, but of course different chairman has different priorities and style, so be it. I'm not the only architect in the country or in the world, so be it. So I have been external examiners to even some of you here and at your local schools, and then I've even helped about 20 over years ago set up a particular school at UPM, and I've been adjunct professor there, and I've done quite a bit with due respect. Yeah? So now I shall be sharing some of my advisory thoughts. You know, take it as constructive observations. If it is of use and consequence for you, use it. If not, just discard it. Doesn't hurt me nor bother me. Yeah? Okay? So that we will be able to face the current and future well-being of the profession. So the definition of an architect as a person qualified for creatively conceiving, designing and supervising the construction of a building. That's the simplest definition that I can give. And so, working within a multitude of meaningful and integrated scopes of work within the architecture profession, including simple residence, urban design, commercial, industrial, interior design, landscape, heritage, and conservation. It is also said, and it's also said by me actually, architecture is common sense and the rest is nonsense. Simple explanation is, kalau masuk akal kita terima, kalau tak masuk akal tinggalkanlah. You know, so that's the simple translation to such a situation. Yeah? So as an architect, we embark into a career of practices. You know, you can be sole proprietorship. I've got the breakdown of the number of sole proprietorship. There are almost 60% sole proprietors. And I'm not surprised by that, because an architect is an individual. And it's very difficult to find a suitable partner, a compatible partner. Even to find a wife is also a task. So let alone a working to try to earn a living with someone who's not compatible. So I salute people who have partners in practice, for example. So partnership, multidisciplinary practices, and then body corporate and project management companies and academia. Because today, from my observation, a lot of architectural graduates have ventured into academia. They become professors here, professors there, doctorate here, doctorate there, and sometimes with no experience or very little experience. So that's another dilemma that I observe. Sorry if there are academicians here, that's my true collection, true opinion, and I've said this, that they are more interested in their KPIs rather than teach the students. I have gone to schools of architecture and gone to the lecturer's room and to tell them that they shouldn't be locked in their room, they should be out in the studios with the students. They are paid to do that. So of course remarks like this is not very popular, but that's it, that's the truth. That's another pitfall. Yeah? So anyway, and then of course there are some who have gone beyond into other sectors of the building industry and outside the building industry. I told Reza yesterday that when I went to cold storage at BSC some years back during the recession, the guy that served me at the butchery said, "Oh, you are Tuan Haji Hajida, the architect." I said, "How come you know me?" He said, "I am an architect." So he was a butcher, and he became a good butcher. But he has done architecture formally. Yeah? So to me, it is not strange to see architects doing all sorts of other things, because treat architectural education as an education for life, and be a positive contributor to society. And that's again another mission. Yeah? So architecture again is not an ego trip. Look at me, don't you know who I am? No, it's not an ego trip, but a social and commercial communal service with legal consequences and ramification to society and by society. Architects must therefore be mindful, sensitive and responsible for such issues, their issues and actions that they are supposed to solve. Okay, the challenges and pitfalls. We're getting slowly into the gist of the forum this morning, and of course I'm being shot by a student that I tutored dekat UPM. Akhirnya jadi PEM je, photographer and recorder. No, jokes aside, it is a living for him. He has survived. Look at his size compared to me. So anyway, so this is what the profession does to us all. Yeah. So the Malaysian architects' challenges and pitfalls lies within the various dynamic segments, contexts, and the time in our society. Dulu lain, sekarang lain. This is what I'm trying to you to remember. Dulu lain, sekarang lain. Where's Adrianta? Kalau sesat, balik ke pangkal jalan. You can always find your way back from your lost situation. So this is one occasion we can share and do it. So first, there are I think 5. I work in 5 odd numbers. First, the Architect Act. Within the various elements. And then first, the Architects Act of 67 is the fundamental principle, legal, ethical guideline for the practice of architecture in this country. It is by law that we exist. It has a dual purpose in the spirit of public protection. We are appointed to do work on behalf of society. And then when necessary, if we have failed, disciplining the architects. The provision is all there in the Act. Ignoring or removing the clauses can lead to chaos and ultimately the loss of integrity and respect of the architect in society. Second, the National Professional Human Resource Development, as planned by the government through the various Malaysia plans that we know, have not met the UIA's recommended number of 3,430 architects to serve our population of 34.3 million, or 0.0001%. That's the guideline to be of good service to them. However, we have only achieved about 74% of that target, and in spite of the deficiency of the numbers, there are other issues of underemployment. Qualified architects having done 5 years academic and then going into the market don't get the right salary. And I think statistics recently have been revealed that architects are among the lowest paid professionals. Now what are you going to do about that? And then of course the brain drain. The better and the more ambitious members of our fraternity have moved on to Singapore, for example, where with the same amount of figure or salary is about 3 times more in Singapore. Crazy, isn't it? And then third, practice is governed by the Act and forced by land, theoretically, and guided by PEM, which is what we are trying to do, with the codes of conduct and due penalties. There are penalties for breaches when breached. Unfortunately, and this is where maybe this is the last time I will speak and forever keep quiet. The enforcement has not been effective nor be a deterrent, with such cases of supplanting, architects supplanting fellow architects, letters of release not properly done, and intervention by other parties to exempt such letters of release and create problems not only for the second architect but for the client and society. Yeah? So, and then of course Adrianta mentioned just now bogus architects. This term bogus architect was coined or developed by Dr. Kenya during his presidency and my vice presidency, and during my presidency we took action in enforcing the Architects Act that foreigners cannot practice in this country legally. They do it illegally, and they legalize their existence by finding the surrogate architect, which we termed before. It was quite hot, and of course I was only 30 over years old, so I was younger and mulut curupah sedikit, because I fear no human being but only one, Allah. You know, so as long as I hold that, I'll speak as frankly and as openly as I can, because you guys have to reflect on what I am sharing today. Okay, fourthly, the LAM approved minimum scale of professional fees has been a perennial problem and nightmare among practicing architects. Architects are often degraded and pitch against each other during fee negotiations. And I can give you an example where a client of mine told me, Jida, if you quote your fees, you will never get any job appointment. There'll be, if you turn down this offer, there'll be 10 architects wanting to do that job that we are offering you. And I said, okay, I won't take the job, but in time I will know which architect, which I did. Now shall they be nameless, and you can come for a tutorial for that. Yeah? So, the fees. And then at the recent, or last year's, PAM's 100 years dinner, Nga Koming, the Menteri of KPKT, I just quote verbatim almost what he said. Architectural fee is only a minor component of the overall cost of project. But the destructive state of affairs in which the architect undercut one another on fees is especially important to solve the building industry. There is a minimum scale of fees for performing your services. You must be fair to each other on fees. Quote unquote, Nga Koming. He is still the minister, but today, as recent as yesterday or a couple of days ago, there is a new challenge for architects because of our what we call recent agreement with the government of China, and they have included buildings, design, construction and all that. So I'm just throwing it today. Think about it. Soon you'll be second round professionals as well as workers to the bigger and more organized Chinese contractors and professionals coming into the country. And I'm saddened to also read in my phone messages about the experiences of some of our architects working with some of the China based projects. They treat us as natives, whether you're Chinese, Indian, Melayu or Bengali, doesn't matter, you're just foreigners to them. So there you are, that's another challenge for us. Yeah? So, okay, I will definitely overrun. Fifth, the entire architect community must step back, ponder, debate, and look deeply into our professional existence, faith and relevance in the context of the current local and global market, and to decide as to where we wish to position ourselves and visualize the effective professional participation within the built environment and the industry. So what then are the pitfalls of practice? Notwithstanding the current body and variety of existing architectural works in the country, there are some weaknesses within the context of our social, political, economic syndrome. That's a one sentence statement. Landmark projects have been awarded to foreign architects at the expense of opportunity lost to our own experienced architects. And this is further compounded by the repatriation of such professional fees to their home country, which Lilian Tay has compiled a couple of years ago or a year ago for 2021, 2.3 billion professional fees left the country. You just imagine 2.3 billion divided by our 2,000 practice, everyone will get a few 100,000 per practice. So ironically, some of Malaysia's overseas project investment by PNB, EPF, and that's where all of us have shares, have been invested overseas, but none of the local professionals were included in the team to be the architect for the project and working in collaboration with the local architects where the investment is. So that is another challenge. Yeah? Okay. We must therefore ensure mutual respect within the professional community among ourselves. You know, if we don't look after ourselves, don't expect the others to look after us. Don't expect the engineers to be looking after the architects. The architects must look after the architects first. Then the QSs. Then the other engineers. Then the landscape architect. Then the interior. They are all. Once upon a time, 50 years ago, the architect is always the lead consultant. Then I did help to form the Lembaga Perancang, and I was one of the first members of Lembaga Perancang. And today, Perancang controls everything, especially at the local authorities level, because to do planning courses is a lot quicker than architecture. So there you are. We've picked the wrong profession. Okay, to strengthen our national manpower aspirations, because we wanted to be independent. Merdeka, 67 years this year. You know, are we Merdeka? That's a question I ask you. Can we decide our own? Can we determine our own professionals to be involved in our national projects? Nope, not quite likely, because there are other considerations and factors. So 3 features of practice would include, this is the good and the bad. Eh? The good, the bad, and the ugly. I think you will remember this. The good, the joy and excitement of setting up an office. And then the excitement of employing people to help produce and deliver the jobs. And then getting the projects. And then earning professional fees. You know, you're trained for 5 + 2 years, you're licensed to practice, earning fees. And then you deliver the project. Jangan cakap saja, but what? And deliver with your CCC and all that today. Dulu CF, now CCC, where we have to sign in 21 items on the G form. Gila. Once upon a time, we finished the job, we called the local authority, hantarlah building inspector, tengok. In fact, the building inspectors theoretically were lesser academic educated than the architects, and they decide. That's why in one of my talks and investigation on the Highland Tower, for example, the collapse of the Highland Tower, I have stated that, and sampai sekarang, how many years? 30 over years ago, nothing has happened. Authorities with no responsibility, that was my statement, and the investigators' conclusion. Local authorities approve the plan, but they are not responsible for the failure. Can you imagine that? And you, as architects, are responsible. Yeah? So, client satisfaction. Client is happy, you are happy, and you'll be happier when they finally pay your last payment. Sometimes the last payment will drag for years, and I have mentioned just now, I have a project in Putrajaya, no less, that was completed 15 years ago, and there's still fee owing to me. because the federal auditors raised it to Putrajaya, saying that your internal auditing is wrong because you still owe this humble, nice architect a few $1,000. So we cannot accept closure of the audit. Yeah. So this is the kind of experiences we get. Yeah. So that's practice. And then, of course, recognition. PAM has initiated, and once upon a time we couldn't advertise. And I think you all know the case of Jimmy Lim, the master architect issue. You know, he was reprimanded because architect cannot advertise. So the only way is to recognize their works. So along the way, PAM introduced PAM Awards for design. And then once it gets the publicity, people will know, oh, such and such architect did that building. I enjoy working in that building. I enjoy visiting that building. Then they say, okay, we have a similar project. Would you like to be the architect? That's the joy, the good. Eh? So you get that kind of potential. And then the bad starts to seep in after you got the job. Complexity with the statutory approvals, you know, local authorities. Ini tak boleh, title pun tak boleh macam ni. It must be cadangan projek sekian-sekian, mengandungi sekian-sekian, atas lot sekian-sekian di Kuala Lumpur. Tak boleh. It must be the other way around. Cadangan ya, atas lot sekian-sekian, mengandungi. I've gone through that. And I said, what's the difference? There's no difference, but kita will accept only kalau buat macam ni. So I said, my set of drawings is 38 per set. I'm submitting 8 sets of 38. What do you want me to do?
Change.
Can't. And I said, you accept it? With due respect, I said, what's the Malay expression? Saya dah rasa garam. Ha? Makan garam awal lagi daripada tuan. Dia tuan. To us, and my client stood there beside me, dia kata, I never knew you're so patient. But that's my job. I want to get the approval. When I get the approval, you pay me. Because we have staged approval, payment, our fees. That's why there's a lot of reviewing that needs to be done. Adrianta, jangan jadi presiden saja. Anyway, so the bad is the complexity in statutory approvals. No, once upon a time, you just send to the local authorities and they will say they are approved. But today they ask you to go to Bomba, they ask you to go to Kutip Sampah and all that, everything, you know, TNB, gitu. Anyway, so it's getting more complex. That's what I'm trying to share lah. Maybe you kata, betul lah, dia 50 tahun dulu. We were not born yet, he was practicing. Dulu senang lah, sekarang lain. So, I'm trying to share this so that you will know how difficult it was. Some of you have never seen a drawing board and T-square or set square. I still have them in my office. Anyway, complexity of approval, protracted delays on site. Contractor, sometimes you don't get the right contractor. Incompetency of contractor who challenges the architect's interpretation, and then project overrun, etc. And then the ugly bit is having done all that and gone through all the due process in designing the building, the minor and major disputes. Then you have to refer to arbitration and also sometimes long drawn, expensive legal process for recovery and settlement, etc. So I just put it there. Some of the things I've learned, you win a client and lose a friend. That friend was the one that appointed you to be the architect, and then you finish the job, then you rather lose him because he's not honoring your fees. Dia minta lagi diskaun. Dah siap, baru nak minta diskaun. And this is why I've always urged that the scale of fees, as expressed minimum scale of fees, means you have to ask for more. Nothing below the minimum recommended scale. You ask for more and explain why. So technical know-how versus technical know-who, where sometimes you're the capable architect, but because another architect has technical know-who, the job gets siphoned and given to the other architect. So ultimately, another advice is to persevere and never give up. You know, that's the thing. Don't give up. I have seen architects giving up. I've seen architects not wanting to be assisted sampai meninggal. You know, it's quite sad. And I know that architect. So this is the sad thing, that death is the only way out of his professional dilemma. Yeah? So guidelines for practice. I get 2 more slides. 5 points, guideline for practice. The architectural journey starts with the essential elements of desire, you know, since you were a kid, education, aspiration, vision, and perseverance. But perseverance, motivation, success, and failure, and their ultimate achievements. Yeah? Number 2, everything in life is dynamic, evolutionary, and in constant motion, and can be ignored once you pass the thing. You know, we're talking about obsolescence. Bernard Shuming was my tutor in UK, and for those who know who Bernard Shuming is, he became whatever he became, and he is the man who inspired me to talk about future trends and obsolescence. Everything becomes obsolete the very minute you think about it, let alone design it. It's already obsolete. You know? So anyway, all that reflecting the socio-economic situation and the realities of time. 3, the architect. To an architect, no design solution is absolute. The solution that you have created for that day is the best, but as always subject to review, reinterpretation, and yet the solution presented are valid in a paradoxical sense. Boleh buat better, but give me another job, I'll do it. Yeah? But for now, that's what we can do within our means. Yeah? So, where was it? To an architect, okay. Successes and failures are inevitable lessons in life, which must always be understood and accepted to strengthen our conviction to move on. Number 5, the need to explore and to push boundaries in the spirit of creativity is constant and consistent in search for better solutions, but the results are definitely different and much better. Hence, the above consideration constitute the inherent challenges to be shared by me and subscribed by all aspiring young and older architects. So my closing remarks. This is a phrase I used at the graduation ceremony of Lembaga last year, yeah? Where we had 300 newly registered architects who received their certificate. Because of the lockdown, we never had such a function. So I talk about the dignity of an architect, or the Malay expression is marwah dan jati diri seorang arkitek. Don't talk about the Architects Act or scale of fees or code of conduct, but your conduct, because you fall within the ambit of the laws, is encapsulated within the levels of self-respect, integrity, professional responsibility as developed through your multi-interactive human values, self-discipline and communication for greater creativity and works in humility. Jangan nak akulah yang buat ni, tak ada. No such thing. You know? Let people be aware of your contribution. Don't tell them. Yeah? So, other awareness. In conclusion here, respect must be earned. You have to earn respect and not demand respect. Aku architect, listen to me. No. Aku architect, I'll serve you. If you don't want me to serve you, go find another architect. Abide by the act, which is legal, codes of conduct, scale of fees, building bylaws and other regulations. And then third is to ensure high social conscience, to impartially serve the client, your society, the built environment, and the ecological balance of our earth.